So a brand new report out of Philadelphia just dropped, and it's all about the new relationship between offensive coordinator Sean Mannion and Jalen Hurts. And it sure sounds like the two are not only hitting it off, but working on implementing some major changes. Plus a very promising schedule leak for the Birds, while DeVonta Smith and Elijah Moore's stock just went through the roof. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. I think a lot of Eagle fans believe that just because the Birds aren't technically required to be at the Jefferson Complex for practice or training until later this month, that means most players are on vacation right now. So I guess sure, it might be true for some, but we just got a brand new report from ESPN that revealed that Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion have been burning the midnight oil to get this brand new offense installed and back on track. And trust me, this is super exciting, almost exciting as this video being sponsored by Prize Picks. This whole report stems from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler over the weekend, saying that the Birds QB1 and their brand new offensive coordinator are apparently a match made in heaven. Stating, quote, "I'm hearing the two have hit it off. And Jalen Hurts likes how Sean Mannion structured the offense, how he talks about how they're going to attack things because it's going to look different. It's going to be more under center for Jalen Hurts, more play action than he's done in the past. So our sources have told us that he's at times been reluctant to some of those changes, but right now he's as open as he's ever been to some of those." And while technically this is not the first time we've heard that Jalen Hurts in this offense be more under center and more play action, it is the first actual confirmation that Jalen Hurts is loving what he's seeing in the Sean Mannion offense. And this obviously is massive for not only Jalen Hurts, but the Birds in general, because go back in time, Hurts clearly liked and respected Shane Steichen, both as a friend and of course as a coach and play caller. He also definitely liked and respected Kellen Moore, which again, naturally, those two OCs were the ones who got the most out of Jalen Hurts during their tenures in Philadelphia. And while yes, technically, Hurts liked Brian Johnson going into the 2023 season as a friend, by the end, though, he was clearly not a big fan of that offense in general. As far as Kevin Patullo, I don't think I need to tell you that Hurts was not a big fan. The fact that we're already hearing that Jalen Hurts is hitting it off with Sean Mannion and loving his new scheme, again, is some of the best news we could have possibly asked for the entire offseason. And while yes, I can see some of your comments right now saying, Thomas, they would never actually report if he hated Sean Mannion right now. They wouldn't let that actually out of the building. Hurts would never admit that. And while that's true, though, if this report is actually accurate and Jalen Hurts is all in for this offense and the changes are coming, I'm telling you, this is going to be a night and day different passing attack, especially than 2025. Which hopefully results in Jalen Hurts raising a Lombardi trophy for a second time, just like this Jordan Spector art photo that I was going to go ahead and give away on today's video, but my previous video did not hit the required 4,000 likes. However, don't be discouraged because I'm already giving away a Jordan Spector art print of your choice once the channel hits 117,000 subscribers, which is probably happening later this week, so drop a like, drop a hype, leave a comment down below, and get us to 117, that way you can go ahead and win. Now, the other interesting part of this report was Hurts being as open as he's ever been to playing more under center. Something that the media has tried to push for years, that Jalen Hurts hates being under center and throwing over the middle, which again, may or may not be true. We never really are going to know. But statistically in 2025, Hurts was 35th out of 36 eligible quarterbacks in rate of throws over the middle. And yet, in comparison, since 2022, he has a 123.7 passer rating when throwing over the middle, second best of any quarterback in the league over that span. So basically, we know he definitely can go under center. He for sure can throw over the middle. The main question that we had from this past season was, did they not do both of those things because of Jalen Hurts or because of Kevin Patullo? And again, we'll probably never know. But when they actually did call either of those things, Hurts 100% executed, going 4 for 4 on under center play action passes in that Vikings road win against the #1 secondary last season at the time. And then go even further back into the bag. How about 6 for 6 on throws over the middle in that 2024 road win against Joe Burrow and the Bengals? Like, under center play action was seemingly the only thing that worked for the Birds' passing attack last year. They just, for some reason, refused to run it for any significant stretch of the season. Don't let anybody tell you that Jalen Hurts can't go under center or can't throw across the middle. He 100% can. And for whatever reason, they've never really done it throughout his entire career, yet they seemingly brought in Sean Mannion to make sure that that is a staple of the Birds' offense. And it sounds like they are already working here early May to make sure that is the case in 2026. I personally think that whether or not you believe the Eagles are trying to force Jalen to change, that's up to you, but I do think everybody needs to at least acknowledge that Jalen has handled this ever-revolving door at offensive coordinator, basically his entire career, better than most could ever possibly dream of. My main hope, though, is that Mannion just gets the most out of Jalen than any previous OC, because if he does, again, big if there, you're going to have a healthy offensive line, plus zero receiver drama, more on that in a second, Saquon running through much bigger running lanes, and a top 5 defense with the 7th easiest schedule in the entire NFL. This offense, if it starts to hum, oh my goodness, look out, the NFL is going to be in trouble. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, Prize Picks. I've been having a blast watching the NBA playoffs so far, and with Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picking app, it is the best place to win cash while you're watching the games. It's incredibly simple to get started. You simply pick more or less on a few players' stats to build your lineup. And of course, it's available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. And not to brag, but I've been on a little bit of a heater with my NBA picks so far the past couple of days. So you want to trail my ones for tonight, Monday night. Here we go. Super simple. Cade Cunningham, let's go more than 19.5 points. He's been really good. I think they're going to win that game very easily. Dennis Schroeder has actually had a couple of three-pointers the past couple of games, so I'm going more than one three-pointer or 0.5 three-pointers. And then Donovan Mitchell, I'm going 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. More on that one as well. We might get that in points in general, but those are my 3 picks, keeping it low. Multipliers not necessarily too high here, but I think all 3 of these are going to hit. And right now, PrizePicks has an incredible offer for you guys where you play $5 and get $50 in lineups instantly. Just download the app or go to the link down below in my description box. Use my promo code HMA whenever you go ahead and sign up. That's code HMA using my link down below in the description box. Play $5, get your $50 in lineups instantly, and join me in winning some cash with PrizePicks on the NBA. Now, the other part of this report to me was also very interesting, as Fowler again said that Jalen Hurts has been working out with wide receivers DeVonta Smith and Elijah Moore away from the team facility to help strengthen their off-field connection. Fowler also describes Smith as the, quote, new #1 in the passing game, again, alluding to the fact that A.J. Brown is likely gone in 3 weeks. And on that Brown note, Fowler also said that there's a handshake deal between A.J. Brown and the Patriots. They are expecting him to be traded. Again, nothing new, but Fowler reconfirmed that for like the 50th time during this same report over the weekend. AJ aside, though, the fact that Smitty and Hurts have not only been seen in public together a lot more this offseason, but are working out privately to improve that connection is music to my ears. Like, there's not been a receiver in football more streaky than DeVonta Smith in terms of targets to no fault of his own. In some games last year, he'd have just 3 targets for 16 yards. And then in others, he'd go 8 for 14 in an absolute receiving explosion. Smitty clearly was the loser in the A.J. Brown, give me the ball or else I'll pout circus that took over the organization this past season. This receiver part of the portion, to me, is the Eagles trying to tell us to buy DeVonta Smith stock as much as you possibly can going into 2026. We keep hearing the JSN comparisons, the Puka Nacua comparisons. Either way, whatever he turns out to be, he's going to have more targets this year than ever before, and it's going to be by a mile. I do find the Elijah Moore aspect of the report, though, pretty interesting because I think a lot of people are expecting Hollywood Brown to be the true #3 or 4 alongside Dontavian Wicks over Elijah Moore. But with Fowler mentioning Moore as the other receiver Jalen Hurts has been working out with alongside DeVonta Smith, I do wonder if Philadelphia views Elijah Moore a lot higher than, say, a Hollywood Brown. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I do know it is super important for Elijah Moore just to go ahead and get reps with Jalen Hurts because this wide receiver room is filled with like 4 players who are all going to share not only similar body and playing styles, but share reps early on in training camp. But that means you have Darius Cooper, Hollywood Brown, and Elijah Moore all battling for that #4 or potentially 5 wide receiver position. But I will say this, previous Packer offenses have utilized 5+ pass catchers in the Matt LaFleur offense, with 6 players last year catching at least 29 passes and having at least 44 targets. Compared to just 2 wide receivers doing the bulk of the work in Philadelphia, then there was Dallas Goedert, a tight end. He was the only other pass catcher in the Patullo system that even got a look. I mean, Saquon Barkley had nearly double the amount of catches as the Birds' 3rd wide receiver in Jahan Dotson in 2025. And I'm sure Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks, Elijah Moore, all these other receivers know that they have a real shot to get some serious targets, even though they won't be the #1, the #2, or #3. Hence why Elijah Moore is working off the football field with Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith. Now, moving off the field, and we are eagerly awaiting this week for the Thursday night NFL schedule release to see who Philadelphia is going to play, or at least in what order. But it does appear we had one leak emerge over the weekend, as apparently the Jaguars are officially going to face the Texans in London week 6, which is big for the Eagles because that lowers their chances of having an overseas game by 33%. As the only other potential opponents that would force the Birds to travel overseas again would be the Commanders in London or the 49ers in Mexico City. Technically still a shot, but it did get a lot lower over the weekend with this Texan news. Also happening over this past weekend was the Eagles Autism Foundation Annual Challenge, which featured nearly 6,832 participants and set a record by raising more than $16 million from nearly 40,000 donations worldwide, which is incredible. These numbers are absolutely insane, again, record-setting, but we can also add a proposal to the list as one Eagle fan decided to go ahead and bend the knee and propose to his girlfriend at the challenge.
I do know Andrew also has a follow-up question from me if you want to turn to him real quick.
The Eagles Autism Foundation is not only run by great people, but is truly one of the best charity organizations tied to an NFL team and probably the entire National Football League. They do it right. Jeffrey Lurie has bought into it. He supports it 100%. I'm curious if you guys were able to go over the weekend. Josh Davis and Bona were there. I was not. I was traveling, but I think a ton of people went. If you did, let me know how it was down below. All in all, though, on a Monday where there's not a ton of news happening, at least until OTAs and training camp happen in a couple of weeks, the fact we got an update on both Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion that was positive for once has me pretty darn excited, because it feels like the Eagles' entire 2026 campaign is going to hinge on the relationship of these two people. If Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion can work things out, figure out this offense, upgrade it, make it more scary, more potent, more, pass game friendly, this is a football team that is 100% ready and able to compete in 2026. A lot of national media and fans are going to try and write Philadelphia off because of what happened this past season, where if you watch them in a primetime game, if you were an Eagle fan, you watched them on Sunday Night Football, you went, this offense is terrible, Jalen Hurts is terrible, they are going nowhere fast this coming season, and yet they still have a top 5 defense, they have a top 5 roster by far. If the coaching is there and the quarterback play is there, my goodness, the sky is the limit, and that, again, is terrifying for the NFL. Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. Are they going to make a safety move? I'm watching the Kenny Moore situation. Talked about it on a previous video. Go ahead and watch that if you don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm hoping we can go ahead and sign him. If we get some news on it, I'll cover it here on the channel. I'm Thomas Mott. Obviously, a schedule release as well. We'll cover that same time. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.